we can get started. My name is Mackenzie. I am one of the owners of Jemice Creative. We're a social media agency, and we're super excited to have Clem on here today talking about SEO. Let me make you the host.
Okay.
Change host. Okay, that should have worked.
All right. Well, shall I just go and start now? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, perfect. Well, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, depending on where you're at. I'm Clem from Clem SEO. I've been an SEO expert for about 7 years now. I'm from France originally, but I lived in the UK for a long time. So hence my accent is a bit mixed up, but hopefully you'll understand me. If not, let me know, and hope that everyone can hear me as well. So I have today, I have 3 tips to share with you. Now, these tips are actionable tips. I'm a big believer in providing you with actions when I share tips, rather than just giving some fluffy tips on the side and then just not getting around to it. So I want to give you actionable items that you can work on for your website, so that you can then oh, I have to admit new people now in the room, so that you can then bring it on to your website. And what I've done as well is I have, if you have any questions during the presentation, we've left enough time to answer any questions that you may have. So feel free to chat them, and I'm sure Mackenzie will monitor them, and then we'll discuss them. So you don't need to wait to ask for your question, because if you're like me and you have a thought that's in your mind, I have to write it down, otherwise it completely leaves my mind within 2 minutes. So go ahead, fire away your questions in the chat, and then we'll answer them after. Okay, so let's get started. I'm gonna have to share my screen. And yep, do this one. Okay, all right, so I'm gonna start the presentation. All right. Okay, so this presentation, it really is kind of a complement to what Mackenzie and Josh from Jemice Creative did last week. Last week we were talking about how to handle negative comments. I wasn't talking about it, but Mackenzie and Josh were presented on that. And I thought that adding some SEO tips as well on how to best handle not only negative comments, but how to improve your exposure would be very beneficial for your team, for your brand. So let's see. Okay, so tip number 1, what you'll need to do is you need to submit your website to Google, because having a website out there is all good. But if you haven't submitted your website to Google, that means that you may only have a very few amount of people reaching your website, and Google may not be crawling all of your pages. Just to give you an idea, on average, if I get a brand new client and that client has 25 pages on their website, if they haven't submitted their pages to Google, Google will only crawl about 5 pages of their website out of the 25. So it's important to submit your website to Google. Now, how do you do that? So number 1, you need to create a Google Analytics account. All these, by the way, are free, so you don't need to purchase anything. So Google Analytics account, if you have one already, my advice is for you to go into your settings and check how your homepage is displayed. Because a couple of years ago, we did the big transition from HTTP to HTTPS to make our website secure. So it could be that in your settings, you still have the old version. Same with the www dot and the non-www dot. Make sure that you have the right live homepage in your settings in Google Analytics. Once you've created this Google Analytics account, you'll need to add it onto your website. Depending on the website platform, most of the main platforms are very geared, geared. They have all the functionalities to have your to add your Google Analytics account. Once this is done, you're going to Google Search Console, and you're going to create an account using the same logins as what you've used to create your Google Analytics account. And with that, Google Search Console is a very useful tool. I'm in it every single day in that it tells me how well Google is crawling my client's website as well as my website. So I see how many pages it crawls. I see how, if there are any broken pages, I see what kind of keywords or search phrases people are using to reach my client's website. So that's a very, very useful account to have. So then once you have your Google search account, you'll go in and submit your website to Google. Usually it takes about 24 hours. And after 24 hours, you have sometimes up to 3 days, depending on how fluent, how much traffic you're getting to a website. But you'll receive an email from Google Search Console within 3 days confirming that they're crawling your website effectively. So that's the number one tip, just to make sure that Google actually crawls your website, because if it doesn't crawl your website's just not going to show up in search engine results. Okay. Tip number 2, directories. So there's a lot of controversies around directories. So depending on the type of industries we're in, I know we have design, we have social media management, we have photography here. What other industries do I have on the call? I'm not sure. If you want to chat very quickly, tell me what kind of industries you have on the, let's see. My chat option's gone, so I can't see it. All right, well, that's okay. I'll give you some tips on directories. So there are certain directories which you can only have if you have a brick and mortar location, if you have a physical location. So these kind of directories are directories like Yelp, and there are other directories depending on your niche. So if you have a design brand, for instance, a design business, then you'll have some design or marketing directories that you'll want to be listed on. If you have a photography business, especially if you're focusing on wedding photography, for instance, make sure that you're listed in the wedding directories. So to start with, if you have a physical location, or if you meet with people in person, then you'll want to have a Google My Business listing. Now, it could be that you're only wanting to do online business and you don't want to meet anyone in person, which is what I did at the beginning. But then I decided to start meeting with my clients in coffee shops, in library. Not all of my clients, I have clients all over the world. But my local clients, I meet with them, and that enables me to have a Google My Business listing, and that helps me with my local exposure. So if you're based in LA and you have a social media business, which you usually just do business online, try to see if you can potentially meet with a couple of clients in person, and that will give you the opportunity to have a Google My Business listing. So Google My Business listing, you can use the same logins as what you use to create your Google Analytics account and your Google Search Console account, and you will enter as many fields as you can in the listing. So opening hours, you don't have to have your address displayed, so you can enter it because you'll need to verify the listing, and for that Google will need to send you a postcard, but you can actually hide the address. So for instance, I have a Google My Business listing, but my address is hidden. No one knows where I live. They know the town that I'm in, but they don't know whereabouts. And then you can add some pictures of yourself, pictures of any products that you're selling. And also you'll want to take a look at your business description as well as your business hours. A lot of people, as well as Google, when it crawls the listings, will consider these hours in terms of ranking. So if you don't put your opening hours and it's 11 a.m. and someone is looking for a web designer, but you don't have your opening hours, then you're not going to show up at the top of the listings. that Google My Business listing as well allows you to appear in the map searches, which is a lot of what Google is showing as results nowadays. Now let's move on to Yelp. So Yelp, there's a lot of controversy with Yelp. So I've had many clients come to me and tell me I don't want any Yelp listing because a lot of my competitors will get on and leave fake reviews. Now the issue that we have with that, if you don't decide to create your own Yelp listing, is that your competitors can actually go in Yelp and create a listing for you, which you will not be able to monitor after. So to me, it's better to have a Yelp listing, not only to me, but to the SEO world. It's better to have a Yelp listing and optimize it and monitor your reviews every so often and report any reviews that you see that are from potential competitors, spammy reviews to Yelp, and they'll take care of them, rather than taking the risk of not having a Yelp listing and having a competitor go ahead and create a listing and leave fake information and leave fake reviews, which you don't have control over. So Yelp listing is important to have if you have a brick and mortar business, if you have a physical location. So once you have your directories, I also mentioned the niche directories. So you'll know in your industry, you'll know which main directories there are. So go ahead and make sure that your business is also listed. Now, when you list your business in all these directories, you want to make sure that you're very consistent with the name of the company. So for instance, if your name is Jamia's Creative, or Jamia's, right, Mackenzie? Yeah. If your name is Jamia's Creative, then make sure not to put Jamia's Creative Limited or Jamia's Creative LLC in some directories and not in other directories. You really want to make sure that you have the same consistency. Same with physical locations. You'll want to make sure that you have the exact same address. So if you have Suite B, for instance, in one directory, then make sure that you'll add the Suite B in the other directories, as well as on your website as well. It's very important to keep the same address and any phone number, contact info. Once you have all these directories, some directories, as I mentioned with Google My Business, will require some verification. But once you have all this, then you'll have to get your clients to leave reviews. Now, not everyone's going to leave you 5-star reviews or 10 out of 10, and that's completely okay. Google is not going to penalize you if you have one negative review out of 25. What it's going to do, it's going to realize that you have some completely organic business. And what matters is that you reply to all the reviews, whether they're on Google. I believe, I know that Facebook just changed its review system, but wherever you can, the directories, wherever you can reply to your reviews, make sure that you do so. So it shows your potential clients as well as search engines that you have a great connection, that you stay close to your clients. Right, so that was my second tip. Make sure that you list it in directories. Number 3, there you go, whoops. Okay, content creation. So we tend to focus a lot on social media. We think that, oh, I need to get my Instagram post out, I need to get my Facebook post out, 3 times a week, but we also need to create content for our website as well. And sometimes we just don't know what to create. So first things first is list the top 10 questions you get asked on a regular basis. I'm not talking about your prices, but maybe it could be about your process, or talking about web design, or what platform should I use for a boutique? If I'm wanting to start a boutique, or I'm a photographer, which website platform is best for me? So if you create articles based on these questions, make sure that once you have that, you have your content strategy, and then about 5 years ago, you would have had to create about 3 blog posts per week. Nowadays, there's no magic number. It all depends on how what your schedules allows. but what's important is that you stay consistent in the content creation. So if you decide that you can only create a blog post once every other week, then that's completely fine. Just make sure that you create that blog post once every other week. Same if your frequency will be once a month, then make sure it's once a month. Google, search engines, I'm always referring to Google because it's the main search engine, but search engines in general are looking for consistency. They're looking for new content or refreshed content as well. And so it's important to keep being frequent with your or regular with your publication. Now, let's say you've listed your top 10 questions and you've prepared all your articles. The thing that you want to do is actually spread out the content publication over the frequency that you've decided, and not to publish all these articles in one day, because that will prevent Google from crawling all the articles. So you will not get as good an exposure as if you were to post it. Let's say if your frequency was once a week, then you have 10 articles for the next 10 weeks. So that's, nice and sweet. And that's it, I think, in terms of content creation. Oh, a tool that you'll want to use as well for your content is an editorial calendar. I'm not sure, Mackenzie, pretty sure, Mackenzie, with your social media clients, I'm pretty sure you have a content calendar or editorial calendar with your clients. Is that right?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, so it's super important to have for your social media, but it's also important to have for your website. And what you can do is you can actually have one document and have both social media and SEO. I use a specific template that I created for my clients, and it's very easy. It's a Google Doc where I have every day of the week, and I color code the social media. Now, I don't do social media, but for my clients' social media, they'll input the content that they want to publish, and then for SEO, we'll have the same. And then I'll give them the keywords and the best titles to use for their content, etc. So yeah, having an editorial calendar is really going to help you with your content creation, and also being accountable, because one thing that we have, once you have all these top 10 questions, you know that they're there, you know that you need to create content, you know that you need to publish it. But having an editorial calendar is really going to help you keep track of publishing this content regularly. So these are my 3 tips, just to recap. Is number 1, to improve your SEO in 2 hours. Number 1 is you'll want to submit your website to Google. Number 2, you'll want to create directories. If you've already worked on your directories, my advice is to go back and check them. It could be that maybe you have an old version of your website. Could be that it's using an old email address as a contact info, or an old mailing address, or an old physical address. So that's important to keep consistent and to keep updated. And number 3 is your content creation. Create content consistently. Decide on the frequency that you'll want to publish new content on your website, and stick to that consistency. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. Obviously, I will leave the floor now to answer any of the questions that you have. But these are my contact details. Got my email, my website, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So don't hesitate to contact me, and I'd love to help you out, guys.
Yeah, one of the questions we had in the chat was, how do we get a Google review set up with a PO box as a business address?
Okay, so Google will not accept PO boxes. So is it with, can they tell me more about the business?
They said they're a product-based business. They do kids fashion.
Okay, and do they see people do they meet their clients face to face? Do they meet with their clients in person? Do they go to like markets or things like that, events?
Oh, I just saw they left the video.
Oh, okay.
So they're not on here anymore. But that is an interesting question. So if you're only shipping and you don't meet with people ever, then what does someone like that do?
There's no Google listing. Google won't allow any listings. So the best way is to find fashion directories that will allow them to be listed. Some directories will require, for instance, a warehouse address, but otherwise Google won't allow them to be listed. Now, if they need, on the other hand, if they have a fashion boutique and everything is based online, but they go to local markets or they do, fashion, what do they call it? Fashion weeks or whatever, then you can have a Google My Business account then, because you can, you meet with clients in person, and what you can do is instead, now Google will not accept a PO box, but you can use your residential address and hide the residential address.
Okay. Got it. Also, I was wondering, so if you were talking about batch blogging, or you create a bunch of blog posts,
yeah,
and scheduling them out. So is there any ideal spacing between them? Like, do you do just once a week, or is it every 3 days, or?
Yeah, so it really depends, because what you'll want to do is, the last thing you want to do is create those 10 articles and then just go blank for 6 months and then go ahead and create 10 articles. So I always advise my clients to, rather than, panicking and thinking I need to post twice a week or 3 times a week on my blog, I always tell them, well, if you think that you don't have, after these 10 blog posts, maybe, you'll run blank, try to space them out. Once a week, once every couple of weeks is a good way. For small businesses, is a good frequency every couple of weeks. Medium businesses, I would do at least once a week, because by that stage, medium to large businesses, they should have a content team that will help them create the content themselves.
Got it. That makes sense. Those are all the questions in the chat right now. Does anyone else have any more questions? Oh, wait. Okay, one more. Are you seeing the chat, or do you want me to read them still?
I can see them. I can see. I just found the thing.
Okay.
Linking backlinks affects SEO, right? Yep. Any practical tips on that for beginners? Okay. Great question, Casey. I could talk about backlinks for about 3 days to cover everything if you wanted the whole thing. However, backlinks, so the directories are one type of backlinks, and there are 2 types of backlinks. There's the inbound backlinks coming from other websites to your websites, and there's outbound backlinks. So whenever you mention a company that you work with, so coming from your website to and going to the other websites. So there are some best practices. For instance, if you're an influencer or you've been paid to feature a specific company, for instance, I reach out to Mackenzie and I say, hey, Mackenzie, I'll pay you $250 to be featured on your blog, because I know you're getting some great exposure, and that's a good way to get some, to increase your exposure. However, what you'll have to do is, if you link back to the company that actually pays you, you'll have to do what's called a no follow link. Depending on the website platform that you use, those no follow links have different ways of being coded. So if you have any questions, reach out to me and I'm happy to show you, either send you to some great articles on how to code, specific no follow links for various website platforms. Or I can let you know, if you're not sure whether you should have a no follow link, or if you're good to have a do follow link, then just reach out to me and I'm happy to help you with that. It's important to have backlinks, in that what it does is that so having backlinks shares what's called link juice. So the authority that a website has, when it mentions other websites, or when it gains exposure from other websites, it shares its link juice and it increases your domain authority. And your domain authority is a number from 0 to 100, 100 being a super high domain authority, 0 being a brand new website. Well, actually, 1 is a brand new website and domain authority. And what you want to do is you want to work on increasing your domain authority little by little. And having directories, having brand mentions. So not only in directories, but for instance, if you're doing a collaboration, just like I said, Mackenzie and I are collaborating together. I'm being featured on her blog or she's being featured on my blog. Then these are ways to increase the exposure, but these are also ways to increase your domain authority. And the higher your domain authority is, the higher the more the organic page views, or the higher your rankings will be organically. That was my little speech on backlinks. You're very welcome, Casey.
So is it better to kind of collaborate with other businesses and do guest posts on each other's blogs, or is it better to just pay someone to?
Both. Both. So the aim of having a blog is to really appear as the expert in your industry. Blog posts are there to bring traffic to your website. They're not there to talk about how great your services are. These, to talk about the benefits of your services, this should be explained in your service pages or in your product pages. But for instance, we're talking about graphic design or even the kids fashion. Whenever Rolla, I know Rolla's not here, but maybe she'll watch the end of the recording. But I'm thinking that what Rolla should do is she should share some fashion tips on her blog, or if she has a new collection out as well, she can feature the new collection in a blog post to announce it. Casey, can you tell me more about your business? Is it photography? I'm not sure if she's heard me, but I know Kari, for instance, is here, and Kari is into oil stamp pencils. There you go. Yes, I know that. So rather than whenever you do a new collection, Casey, you would add that onto your blog. For instance, right now, what you'll want to do in your blog is mix evergreen and seasonal content. So we're a bit too late now, but we're entering into, obviously, well, Father's Day is upon us in a few days. So a great post that would have been for you is maybe share some Father's Day gift ideas, or some fun pencils that you have in your collection for Father's Day. So you mix evergreen and seasonal content that way. And same, Casey, I'm thinking back to school should be huge for you. Now, when you do the seasonal content, you'll want to have it published at least 2 weeks in advance for the content to gain traction and to gain some good traffic from the start. And obviously for people to order the product as well.
Are there any more questions from anyone? Give it a second. Clem, thank you so much. All that info was super helpful.
Very welcome, Mackenzie. Very welcome. And as I said, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'll reach out to Mackenzie. I'm sure she'll send you my way, or she can answer. I don't know much SEO knowledge, but for sure, if I have a client asking me about social media, I'm like, go to Mackenzie and Josh, because they're a great team. Okay, let's see. When I have a main website, okay, my shop domain, pencils.com, the rest of your page. Okay, it's not hosting on its own website. Okay, I would have to see what caseybailey.com features and see what it ranks for, and then I can see that. I can let you know. But sometimes it's great to have a domain that redirects to your main domain, if you know what I mean. So for instance, if I do, so I do a lot of SEO for bloggers. So if I had my domain, which is already taken, unfortunately, but an idea for me would be to buy the domain seoforbloggers.com and have it redirect to clemseo.com, so that I would get the traffic for anyone who Googles SEO for bloggers redirect to my site. So we would have to, Casey would have to talk about that privately, so that I'd have to take a look at your website and see what's going, what's going on there. Very welcome. Any other questions? Well, for those who haven't been able to watch the presentation or the Q&A, I believe Mackenzie is going to send the recording to whoever registered for the event. So feel free to contact us if you have any questions that pop up in your mind, and we'll be there to help you.
Yep. I'll upload it to YouTube and I'll send out the link to everyone.
Okay, perfect. All
Thanks,
right.
Clem.
Thanks, everyone. Okay, thanks, Laura. Have a good day. Bye.